Hi, it's Pete Cohen. Welcome to episode 157 of the My 365 podcast series. Today's podcast is called The Law of Attraction. The Law of Attraction. Have you ever heard of that? Many people have heard of it and maybe people buy into it, but what exactly does that mean? In this podcast, I want to show you how you can attract more of what you want into your life. So get ready for another game-changing podcast. Let's do it. Not now, but right now. Welcome to episode 157 of the My 365 podcast series called The Law of Attraction. Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard someone say, oh, that's the law of attraction. I fought the law and the law won. That's actually a song by The Clash. I fought the law and the law won. We live our life in relationship to laws, the laws of the land. We have to abide by those laws, otherwise in certain situations we might be locked up and we'd have some serious problems on our hands. But what I'm asking all of us to consider is the laws in which we live in our own mind. We are governed by the ways in which we think, and I think for so many of us, our beliefs are like laws. Now, the law of attraction is something that many people talk about, and I think I know what they mean in terms of you can attract certain things in your life by thinking about them, but I'm not sure if that's actually true or not. I don't know everybody and I don't know how every single person in the world thinks. But I do know that we can change a lot of things in our life by the way that we think. So it was Oprah Winfrey that said something around that in life you don't get what you want, you get what you picture. You get what you believe. And I think that we all really need to look at what we actually do believe. One of my goals of doing these podcasts and in helping people is to help people step back and be a little bit curious about the laws in which they live their life, how they think, how they accept certain things about themselves. So we talk about the law of attraction, and in this room here, you can't see it, but there's loads of pictures of drawings that I have done, especially with one of my colleagues, Patty Dolbovolsky, who we've done a couple of podcasts with, and she's done 3 TED Talks. I would encourage you actually to go and look at some of the stuff that she's done around being able to draw where it is that you want to go, and looking at your current reality and your desired reality, because, we all have a current reality. And here's a question that my coach used to ask me, how do you feel about where you are right now? What's great in your life right now, but maybe what's going on in your life that's challenging you, your fears, your worries, your doubts, to be able to look at it and look at it objectively, and then look at your desired reality, some of the things that you want in your life. And then to think, well, okay, I've got this desired reality, I've got my current reality. What is it that I'm thinking inside my mind that's either going to pull me in that direction or pull me away? Because we know for most of us, we don't achieve our goals and our dreams and ambitions. The world is full of people who have got dreams and things they've tried to do in the past, but they've failed. Is something going on inside us that is going to make our life the way we want it to be? I would say yes. What about you? It's all very well me giving instruction and telling you what I think, but what do you think? What do you believe? Because ultimately, I do think our lives are pretty much shaped by what we believe. And as Henry Ford said, apparently, once upon a time, whether you believe you're right or whether you believe you're wrong, you're right. So if you don't believe something is possible, then it isn't. And if you do believe something is possible and you truly believe it's possible, then it is possible. But to truly ask someone, what do you believe? And say, well, do you believe in yourself? And what does that mean? Well, do you believe that you're good enough? Do you believe that you have what it takes? And most people don't. The reason we don't attract what we want in our life is we might picture it, but we don't believe it's possible. Maybe because we don't look at that picture every single day and think, this is what I want, this is what I see, this is what I'm going after. And I've mentioned many times on our previous podcast that Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, which is probably the book I've cited more than any other book, he said that he reckoned only 2% of people will tell you where they're going, to the point where they actually believe it, to the point where they see it. It becomes their obsession. They think about it all the time. That's where they're going. And for most of us, we're just trying to get through every single day. We know where we don't want to go, but be able to tell someone, this is where I'm going, this is where I'm going, this is important to me, this is what I'm attracting. I'm going to make this happen and you can't stop me. It's fascinating to me. And I am genuinely curious. Whoever you are, wherever you're listening or watching this, what do you really believe? Because it's our beliefs that govern our lives. And what I have seen with so many people is they just don't believe they're good enough. They don't believe that they're just quite right. And we almost live in a world that wants us to think that way because it makes the system work that we all live in, of thinking in a certain way, acting in a certain way, rather than going, whoa, 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 whoa. Is the way I'm thinking, is the way I'm acting, moving me in the direction that I want to go? And I believe in most cases, we'd have to put our hand up and say, you know what? I don't really believe in myself. I don't believe that I'm good enough. And you think, well, good enough for what? And in coaching people for years, all I'm trying to do, and I'm talking to you directly now, wherever you are in the world, is saying, hey, let's wake up. Let's wake up and tap into something. Tap into our potential. What does that mean? Well, your potential for making things happen. The potential that your parents or your parents' parents must have tapped into something to move things forwards, to create a life that you now have. So you could have a better life than them. And in many cases, we do have that opportunity more than ever to create an unbelievable life. More freedom. But with that freedom, if you like, the more opportunities that exist, we all have a big challenge, which is to rise above our current way of thinking in a world that basically says, hey mate, listen, I'm sorry, but you ain't good enough. You need to do certain things. You need to get a good education, you need to get married, you need to have children, you need a good job, you need to do all of these things for you to believe that you're good enough. And then so many people, they do that and they still feel like there's something is missing, because I believe that in order for us to attract the best things in our life, we have to tap into a purposeful life, to attract what you truly believe, what you feel that you're on this earth to do. And talk about tumbleweed in a cowboy film, the amount of times I've asked that in a big auditorium, sometimes with thousands of people, you ask that question, what's the meaning of your life? What are you here to do? All of a sudden, dead silence. Because people often haven't considered, even just taken a moment to think, what is my life all about? And maybe there is no hope for some of us. Maybe we are just destined just to exist and just to get by, not to be happy, not to flourish, not to attract what we're truly capable of attracting. Now, we've heard of this expression, right? That, life is fleeting and life is very valuable and you only get one shot at life. And not long ago, I met up with some of the people I studied with at university, and we had a great time reminiscing, talking about the good old days. But it got to a point where I was thinking, okay, but what about where we're going? And I asked that question. What about the next 50 years of our life? And again, it was silent, because it's almost like we haven't given that much thought. And a purposeful life, a life where people feel abundant, they feel like they are attracting all the things that they want in their life, is when they are aligned or attuned to doing something special with their life. So of all the 157 podcasts that we've done, we've had many people that have listened to every single one of them. And maybe you're listening to this podcast and it's the first Pete Cohen My 365 podcast you've ever listened to. And it's, what's the message? What's the message here in this podcast and all the ones we've done? And I don't know, because you could be interpreting this in any way that is right for you. But if I was giving you a message, I'd say, look, it's time to wake up and realize many cases, the reason you're not attracting what you want in your life is what you believe. And many of those beliefs have been handed down to us. Many of us believe that there are starving kids in the world, so we must eat what's on our plate. Many of us believe we're not good enough. Why do we believe that? Maybe that's what our parents believed. Maybe we believe that Pringles, once we pop, we can't stop. Many of us maybe believe that we're not some great human being and that we can stand up and say that we are awesome and we are amazing, because again, we were encouraged not to do that. But I do actually believe, and if you listen back to this podcast, you'll probably hear me say that word quite a lot, right? Believe. A belief is your ability to picture something. We are all chemists, and all we do when we really believe something is that we're mixing certain chemicals in our brain that give us a picture of something that if we continuously picture it and we think it, we can start to feel it more and more and more. As faith or belief is the chemistry of the body. And we talk about us being, we're just science, right? Biology, we were born. How did that come about? Well, again, that might have something to do with what you believe about how we came into existence, but there is a certain amount of biology going on right now, and the chemistry, which is where you mix certain emotions in your body, whether you feel sadness, whether you feel joy, it's all chemistry, it's all things mixing together. And then physics, the physics of attraction, that an object in motion stays in motion. And I ask all of you just to be curious, put a big smile on your face and ask yourself a question. What do I actually really believe? And how are those beliefs shaping my life? And what if those beliefs were untrue? Because in many cases they probably are. Many of the things that we believe, you weren't born believing them, but maybe you believe them now because you've convinced yourself. And maybe other people wanted to convince you. I believe today is a day where we should all wake up and go, I'm curious about all of this. Be curious about what other people believe. Because if you don't believe you're good enough, you're almost looking for something that you want to attract that's never going to make you feel whole. If you want to feel whole, believe in something like, you're here for a reason. You're here to make a difference. You're here to leave a legacy. You're here to leave a mark, to leave an imprint. Every single one of us is. And we can go out and do that right now today by looking at someone and smiling and telling them, I believe in you. They think, what are you saying that for? I do believe in you. I think sometimes it's my downfall, but I also think it's my gift that every person I meet, I know they're truly amazing. And they can be more, they can do more, they can be more happy, they can be more joyful. But we need to get out of our own way. We need to be able to step back and look, what am I believing? The law of attraction is based on what you believe. If you believe you can, you believe you can't, you are right. My wish for you from this podcast is take a few moments. Like I said, put a big smile on your face and be curious about what you believe. I appreciate every single one of you that is listening to this podcast right now. Feel free to like it, comment, share it. Give us your opinion. What are the strongest beliefs that you have? I look forward to finding out and learning from you, because we need more people all around the world to believe in themselves, believe in their ability, and go out there and make a difference. Because if we don't, I think the world is doomed. And I don't want that. And I think deep down you don't want it either. The power of belief, the power of the law of attraction. What's your number one takeaway from what I've shared with you today? Have a happy, happy, beautiful day. And we will see you next time for another My 365 podcast.